Welcome, everyone. This is part of a series on miracle making based on my book, Making Miracles, Create New Realities for Your Life and Our World. And the book is really designed to, in step-by-step little increments, cultivate the consciousness that gives rise to miracles. And each session here, we've been covering a little bit of the book and including an exercise or some kind of group experiment in miracle making. Now, last week, I talked about the connection between love and God and the zero-point field that physicists speak of, and the universal source that metaphysicians talk about as being the unlimited source of all of our good. And I mentioned some of the science suggesting that all of these things really present as one and the same, as well as some of the science suggesting that love may be the most accessible pathway into this unlimited source of good. So today we're going to do a group experiment to tap this field through the pathway of love. Now, love, I was introduced to the whole concept of unconditional love in my very earliest metaphysical classes when I was still just a teenager. I would hear that we are love, and I was instructed to fill myself with love or send unconditional love. And as a, kind of little teen, I had no idea really what any of that meant. But I did just start noticing what I felt when I used the word love. And I started to notice that whether it was an intimate acquaintance that I felt that I loved, or a piece of music that I loved, or a great dessert that I loved, that the experience, as different as those experiences are, obviously, the experience was invariably pleasurable and expansive. It brought my attention to the present moment, and I felt more alive. I felt uplifted and less distracted by life's more trivial concerns. Now, of course, addictions are born when we believe we can't have that alive and pleasurable moment without the external catalyst, whether we're thinking about our romantic love interest, or, more dessert, or a drink, or, and so on, whatever. Addictions, they're all about more. And when we think of something that we're addicted to, we feel empty and we crave more. But when we think about what we truly love, then we feel full. So who and or what in your life do you love in a way that the very thought of that person or thing or experience fills you? And just so really think about this. Just maybe let memories come up and savor them. Can you recall a perfect moment of love, maybe between you and a beloved, or you and a child, or you and a friend or family member or pet? Can you think of a most beautiful day in nature where there's just nothing seems to exist but the pleasure of the sounds, the smells, the views, the feeling of the air on your skin? Maybe some perfect experience of art or music or some other kind of wonderful savoring. Maybe it was a time you just laughed so hard that you cried, or some sublime and very peaceful moment with God. Can you bring this moment to mind so clearly that the pleasure of it is literally with you right now? So you're purely in the moment, and you're feeling more alive and more content maybe than you were just a moment ago. And if so, if you have even a little bit of this experience, then you are having a very real experience of love, which has a very healthy effect on your physical body functions. It really has an influence on your body. And you are maybe doing exactly what physicists haven't figured out how to do. Tap the limitless energy of the 0 point field. The more we cultivate these moments of love, the more we amplify all the good in our lives. You know, I know a woman who helped herself recover from serious bouts of illness, of chronic illness, by looking at pictures of baby animals every day, just simply because they triggered for her this powerfully healing effect of love. Now, Dean Ornish, MD, just wrote an excellent book called Love and Survival. Love and Survival. Get that out right. Where he pulled together decades of medical research documenting the connection between physical healing and all kinds of different forms of love, whether it was the relatively impersonal touch of a nurse taking blood pressure compared to an automated machine do it, or the interactions with friends and community, or the experience even of stroking a pet. He concluded that love and intimacy are among the most powerful factors in health and illness. It was just tremendous, the effect that even small kinds of loving interaction or touch has on health. So quite simply, every time we experience even an instant of unconditional love, of inner peace, of compassion and forgiveness, we're in a powerful healing state. Now, if as you ran through some of your own memories, it was difficult to find anything in your own memory bank that could just fill you up simply at the thought, which that can happen when we're feeling at a low point in life, or if we've had a history of depression or a lot of disappointments in life. We can have that experience where we think of what have been my high points of love, and nothing comes to mind. If that's the case, the way into these moments of fullness is through our imagination. Now, imagination is a really powerful tool. It's powerfully creative. And when we feel empty, we tend to use our imagination to envision and amplify everything we lack. We don't do it on purpose. It just becomes part of our automatic thought process. And when we use imagination in the service of our emptiness and lack, we really dig ourselves into a deeper hole of scarcity. But, imagination can also take us to just wonderful places that life experience hasn't. When we put imagination to work in the service of love, that means not just envisioning the circumstances that we want to have happen, but really cultivating the inner experiences that we want in life. Because if we put too much emphasis on envisioning outcomes, it actually can amplify our attachment to those outcomes, leaving us more concerned about the future than feeling content in the moment. And that feeling of contentment in the moment is what is so magnetic to our highest good. The inner experiences that fill us up in the moment are what connect us to this limitless field and attract the outcomes that match the joy that we've created within, and often attract even better outcomes than we can imagine. So we're going to do an experiment now using the power of imagination and of love to tap the 0 point field. And for this, you might want to get comfortable and close your eyes. And just take a moment to relax. And quiet your thoughts with some deep, full breaths. And as we do in these experiments, take a moment to imagine the clear, bright energy of all the other listeners as well as those people reading this book, not just in the present, but in the past, in the present, and also in the future, joining you. Because as we've talked about here, time in the linear sense is illusionary, as is space when it comes to consciousness. With consciousness, there really is no barrier. So imagine all of us, past, present, and future, all of us who've been part of this miracle experiment in any way, shape, or form, are all vibrating together now in shared consciousness beyond those illusionary limits of space and time, each of us bringing only higher love to the whole. And see this joining as beautiful and sacred, awe-inspiring, and filled with the potent energy of love. And as a group, we form a powerful network for healing and miracles, becoming so much more powerful together than we could ever be separately. And our joined intentions quicken our growth, awaken our intuition, and heighten our magnetism to our highest good, so that whatever has seemed difficult in the past can now come more easily. So now we're going to expand our access to the 0 point field, to that God energy. So for this, just really allow some of the most perfect moments of love that you have ever experienced. Allow them to come to mind. Moments so powerful that you really do feel filled and content just by recalling them. And if you can't think of any such moments, it's okay to recall moments that haven't happened yet in linear time. So remember the moments that are going to happen in the future. Imagine loving life so much that you just can't wait to jump out of bed in the morning, and going to sleep at night feeling grateful and content, looking forward to the next day simply because life is good. And you don't even have to fill in the details of why and how. Just that feeling. Life is good. And imagine the most perfect day in nature, where your mind becomes quiet and you just can't help but become one with all the beauty around you. Maybe you're in the most exquisite garden on the sunniest day with flowers everywhere and fragrance in the air and birds singing, the very air charged with peace. Or maybe you're taking in the most breathtaking scenery and you breathe it all in. You soak in it, absorbing beauty through your very pores. And all you can feel is joy and gratitude. And now shift a little bit and imagine the inspiration and the reverence of savoring a fine work of art or piece of music that lifts you out of yourself. Beauty that touches you heart and soul and moves you to the core. Or think of the experience of being in a spiritually charged sacred place. Or maybe in the midst of a spiritual experience where the presence of God is palpable and awe-inspiring, and you just give yourself over to it completely. And now imagine melting into the loving embrace of someone you love dearly, who loves you just as much. You don't even need to know who. You might be remembering someone you haven't met yet. But you relax into the deep comfort that comes when love and trust and familiarity are all present, and you feel the joy when chemistry and compatibility are all there. Imagine sharing laughter that just won't stop or be controlled. And imagine sleeping peacefully at night just because life is good. And you are so loved. And now imagine holding a small child, or maybe a kitten or a puppy or other tiny creature who relaxes into you with complete trust, and you feel how soft and sweet this little body is against you, and how unconditionally this small being loves. Just imagine loving so deeply that tears come. And just take a moment to enjoy whatever experience of love most touches you, heart and soul. Just enjoy it. Let it heal you. Let it rewire you. And now imagine the energy of the 0 point field. And picture that as a field all around you and within you, an ever-present, invisible sea of light that contains unlimited potential. What's more, it's inherently kind and intelligent. And you can feel the very air around you to be alive and filled with love. You can feel it holding you in the most tender embrace, just like those loving arms of a beloved embracing you that you imagined moments ago. And you relax just completely and softly into this loving energy, just like a small child filled with absolute trust. And now you have tapped the field. And this energy is having a very real effect on you, body and mind. If you're in need of healing, it will give you a boost. And don't try to focus on anything. Just be that tiny child, just completely relaxed in loving arms. And just don't be surprised if you start noticing more and more that life is good. And as this feeling of relaxing into the goodness of life reaches a peak of intensity, then send it to all those others who have read, are reading, or will read, or listen to these words. Everyone else who has, is, and will participate in this experiment, just send them this depth of feeling. And your directed love now is an invisible yet really powerful and very real force. And it's in some way quietly helping to make life better for someone, maybe for many, whom you'll never meet. And realize that people have already sent this gift of love and grace and healing to you. And their love is quietly making life better for you. And you are so loved, more than you'll know. So on that note, just take a deep breath and come on back. And that's the end of our experiment for this week. But next week will be a group experiment in manifesting something very important to us, something dear to our hearts. So I hope you'll come back and join me for that. Now, if you want to read the whole book, it's available through Amazon and through my publisher, Namaste Publishing. Next week will be the last session of this book study. But this week I have another online program starting up. It's my year-long Miracles course that accepts new students quarterly at the beginning of each season. And we actually have our first class of the summer season starting tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, about an hour from now. So for any of you attending live, if you'd like to attend that first class of the summer quarter, the first session is always free and open to everyone. If you'd like to join in, you can just go onto my website and register and come on back in an hour. It is possible to enroll in the summer quarter of the Miracles course up until June 9th, and then we close it down until fall. And if you're not familiar with this program, it consists of weekly live classes with me and one-on-one assistance from 3 different faculty members, as well as in-depth written materials on each week's topic. In fact, we build in a lot of connection and support. We even have one faculty member whose primary job is just to pray for you and help you manifest your goals. So check it out. The summer quarter that is starting up tonight is all about receiving the abundance of life, and we do a lot of work with manifesting and opening to receive and releasing scarcity, letting life be easy instead of a struggle, and all kinds of other good things. So if any of this sounds of interest, do check out my website, which is lynnwoodland.com. And until next week, I just wish you all the best. Have a great week. Just watch to see what happens, because this kind of group spiritual work tends to start things popping. So have just a blessed week, and until next week, namaste.